to adjust, but I think it's working. I just checked it. But welcome back. We are here for another Sunday. The beginning was a little rough. I'm going to have to cut that out when I edit this video because I was thinking that my audio wasn't working because last week we were supposed to meet and then my audio wouldn't work and then my video wouldn't work. So I said, you know what? We're going to try again next week. So that week is today. So all August month, or more like all summer long, we've been talking about your offensive playbook because that is what the summer is for. That is your time to rest, to gain some points. The school year has ended, so hopefully things slow down a little bit because your team's either at summer school, summer camp, but they are not in all the activities that they normally do during the school year. So we got 2 more weeks until the end of this month, and then we flip over to defense. But don't worry, we're going to stay in offense for a little while longer so that you can continue to gain some points that's going to sustain you through the new school year, because at least if you're in Connecticut, it starts in a week. I believe it is the next week, Wednesday is when school starts for you guys in Connecticut. For other places around the country, they started a little while ago. They started maybe the second, if not first week of August. But the school year is going to be what it's going to be if you make some different decisions this year. So just to recap, over the last couple of weeks, we talked about grace, and grace being what you need in order to be sustained during this summer months, sustained in your offensive playbook strategy. We talked about being able to be kind to yourself, not beating yourself up just because it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. We talked about being careful with your words, and you know the drill. We always use biblical principles to navigate the way we think, because the word talks about renewing your mind, and you can only renew your mind with the truth. So over here, we are biblically based and clinically sound. And if you don't know, and if you're new for today, I'm Natalie, and we meet every single Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on YouTube. And I thank you for joining me tonight. Anywho, the following week, we had talked about self-compassion, right? We talked about self-compassion versus self-esteem and what the difference is. We talked about how oftentimes self-esteem depends on how well you are doing, which we know fluctuates from week to week. One day you're doing great, the next day you're not doing so great, which is why we talk about self-compassion, which will override self-esteem because it doesn't depend on how well you might be doing. Self-compassion can be a constant. Right? It's being able to treat yourself well despite what comes, being able to be understanding for yourself instead of being harsh or judgmental toward yourself. And then this week, what we're doing is going to do a habit check, if you will. So we've done habit checks on this channel before. So if you are new, welcome. And if you have been here before, then you know the drill, right? We talk all the time about being not just hearers of the word, but doers of the word. But that only happens if we apply the information we're learning. So all summer long, we've been learning about the offensive strategy playbook. We talked about partializing. We talked about a whole bunch of different things. And if you didn't see those videos, I suggest that you definitely go find my page, go take a look, go watch through some of the videos so you can get caught up to speed after we end tonight. And don't worry, it's pretty easy. You can listen to while you're in your car, listen to while you're showering, or even doing the dishes so that you can get caught up because the school year is starting, at least in Connecticut, starting soon. So we're going to do a habit check. So we want to be not just here's a word, but we want to do doers of the word. And like I said, that only happens if we apply the information. Now, what we want to do is build it like compound interest. If that's not a term you're familiar with, here's a reference for you. Compound interest is when there's small incremental things that build up so that it becomes bigger, right? When we think about change and just the way our brains work, right? Because I think about the new, like not the new school year, but I think about, like New Year's resolutions. And oftentimes people say, new year, new me, right? The problem with that is that they're trying to do too many new things all at once, and it's not sustainable. Right? When we're thinking about compound interest, there are little steps, a millimeter, a centimeter, maybe an inch per day, and it's going to build up until all of a sudden you're 1 foot long, 3 foot long, or however long you wish to do in terms of the change, right? We build up some compound interest so that it is sustainable. Small changes over time is going to be more sustainable than a big overhaul or 360 or even a 180 in one day. I know that there is a trend about the 75 hard, the 40-day something, like these trends about like staying locked in and for a certain amount of time, and then that's going to help build you to be something, like it's going to help you maintain consistent. But what I don't often see with these trends is what happens afterwards. After the challenge is done, you've done your 75 days, what happens afterwards? Do you stay on it? Do you forget it? Do you learn new habits? Like, one thing I don't see is the results after I see what happens afterwards, but not the what did you maintain afterwards to help you stay on track, right? So that is why we talk about compound interest here in terms of building it in small incremental ways so that it can be sustainable, so that it's going to be long lasting, so that you can stay in the game. Okay. So we are going to be out of Ephesians 4, verse 20 to 24. It says, but you have not, I'm going to read it one more time. But you have not so learned Christ, if indeed you have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Jesus, that you put off concerning your former conduct the old man which grows corrupt according to the deceitful lust, that you put on the new man which was created according to God in the true righteousness and holiness. Right? So if we're thinking about that, taking off the old man, putting on the new, what is one thing you did last school year that you don't want to repeat this school year, right? Life is about decisions. You have to decide what didn't work and what did work. We have to do an audit sometimes about what we're doing and slowing down, right? One thing I talked about this past week with some people was slowing down to realize enough of what's going on with you. And when you're able to slow down, you can actually take an audit, inventory of what's working, what's not working. So let's take an inventory right now. What worked well last year and what didn't work well last year. And maybe that's something that you want to journal about this week, because you know the drill. On this channel, the one coping skill I promote every single week is journaling. Well, maybe not every single week, but most weeks. Journaling. Journaling is really how you make the internal external. And for our brains to be able to process, it processes in real time. Our brain, our eyes like to see concrete things, which is what makes the internal, it makes it concrete when it's pen and paper writing. Some people like to do pen and paper. Some people like to type their journal. Whichever method works for you, I would suggest if you don't journal now, you build the practice, you build the capacity for journaling, because it's going to help do wonders to let off the steam, especially from your day-to-day. Right? So if you're taking an inventory over what worked well last year and what didn't work well last year, and then your thing, if we're doing in honor of compound interest, right? What is the one thing that was on a did not work well last week or last year that you want to do differently this time? One thing to not repeat, not 5, not 15, just one. Right? One is going to be sustainable. Focusing on the one is going to be you're going to be able to check that off in like a month or 3 months from now, saying that, oh, wow, I did it. Then you could feel accomplished. And then maybe you can add another thing the following semester or the following month, right? Because like I said, life is about decisions. So if you haven't been applying anything that we've learned all summer long, today's your day to start again. We're going to just say out, and we're going to start again, and we're going to begin applying today. So today you're going to journal. Today you're going to take an inventory. Today you're going to do a little audit in terms of your parenting and yourself and what worked well and what didn't work well, so that you can do things differently this school year round. Now, in honor of our scripture, which is Ephesians 4, verse 20 to 24, I'm going to read it one more time, and then we're going to do our parental declarations for the night, and then we're going to end for tonight. Our parental declarations. I'm a fast talker, if you haven't realized before. That is just naturally me. So sometimes I be tripping a little bit over my words, right? And that's okay. We all got our flaws. But our scripture today is out of Ephesians 4, verse 20 to 24. And it says, but you have not so learned Christ, if indeed you have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Jesus, that you put off concerning your former conduct the old man which grows corrupt according to the deceitful lust, and that you put on new man which was created according to God in true righteousness and holiness. So our parental declarations are this: I am taking off the old and putting on the new. Say it with me. I am taking off the old and putting on the new. Our second one of the night is I stand in true righteousness and holiness. I stand in true righteousness and holiness. Take those two declarations throughout your week. You want to repeat them many times. Keep repeating them until you believe the words that are coming out of your mouth, because faith is what moves the hand of God. Faith means putting your belief and trust in him. And one thing to believe and trust is that his word, and that he is a man of his word, and that he will not lie. So take those parental declarations throughout the week. Definitely repeat them a few more times a day and also throughout the week. And then send this video to another parent, caregiver, or someone else who has teens in their home. because the school year is starting soon and we want to make sure that we are prepared fully. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, definitely drop it in the chat box. If not, you guys couldn't tell me that I had something on my face? No? Okay. But drop it in the chat box. If not, definitely send me an email, Natalie@raisingteenswithnatalie.com. I can't wait to hear from you. Also, a reminder, we have a new group starting on September 9th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Zoom, we have a virtual parent support group. We're going to be for 8 weeks consecutive from September to October. And then our last group, we do an in-person meetup in hopefully a city near you. So if you are interested in attending, definitely don't miss it. This is our third and final one for the year. So definitely sign up. Send me an email. Go to the website, raisingteenswithnatalie.com. You can sign up there, and I can't wait to meet you in September. Until then, you know how to reach me. Stay encouraged. I'll see you next Sunday.